Namaskar. Welcome to Sansad TV. I'm your host Rajiv Kumar Singh. The Indian government initiated the Parliamentary Gati Shakti National Master Plan to transform the country's infrastructure. We at Sansad TV have begun a series under Gati Shakti to highlight PM Modi's vision and his government's execution in the sphere of infrastructure. In this episode, which we have named Soaring Greater Heights, we will look at the Indian civil aviation sector. What have been its achievements and how has the sector transformed over the last 9 years? The Parliamentary Gati Shakti National Master Plan is a central government project aimed to revolutionize infrastructure in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the launch of the Gati Shakti Yojana, a rupees 100 lakh crore project for developing holistic infrastructure in India on the 75th Independence Day.
गति शक्ति हमारे देश के लिए एक ऐसा नेशनल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मास्टर प्लान होगा जो होलिस्टिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की नींव रखेगा, हमारी इकोनॉमी को एक इंटीग्रेटेड और होलिस्टिक पाथवे देगा। अभी हम देखते हैं कि हमारे ट्रांसपोर्ट के साधनों में कोई तालमेल नहीं होता। गति शक्ति साइलोस को तोड़ेगी। भविष्य के रास्ते से हम इन सब रोडों को जितनी कठिनाइयां हैं उनको हटाएगी।
Once slumbering through slow and incremental growth, Prime Minister Modi has awakened India to transformative growth. And for the realization of the dream, India's infrastructure needs to be brought to world standards. The Pradhan Mantri Gati Shakti scheme envisages multimodal connectivity, economic zones, industrial zones, agriculture zones, cargo zones and smart cities, which will boost production, transport, demand and employment in the country. Civil aviation, therefore, is an important cog in the wheel. India's first licensed pilot, J.R.D. Tata, kicked off the Indian aviation sector in 1932 with the introduction of the first airline, Tata Air Services. The airline flew its inaugural flight in October that year from Karachi to the then Bombay. In a short duration, Tata Air Services progressed from a small freight airline to a commercial passenger airline. By 1938, the carrier was renamed Tata Airlines and was flying on a number of routes on the domestic circuit. Following India's independence in 1947, Tata Airways was renamed as Air India, and the government took a 49% stake in the airline. Air India flew its first international flight in 1948 between Bombay and London. By the 1950s, India was home to a number of small airlines. In 1953, the Indian government nationalized the aviation industry, taking control of all major airlines. This resulted in the 8 major airlines being merged into 2 airlines run by the government. These 2 airlines were Air India and Indian Airlines. Indian Airlines operated domestic flights in India, and Air India focused on international routes. Air India and Indian Airlines started to struggle in the 1970s. In the 1990s, India reversed the stance on regulation and allowed private airlines once again. By 1994, India repealed all laws regulating the formation of airlines and allowed the introduction of scheduled private airlines. Civil aviation has been one of the most important sectors where the growth is clearly evident. be it the increase in the number of people flying or the number of airports in the country. India has witnessed a big leap and has a huge potential to fulfill that lies ahead. Prime Minister Narendra Modi recognizes the significance of civil aviation in taking India from the 10th to the 3rd largest economy of the world. Government's vision for the civil aviation is to ensure the people to have access to safe, secure, sustainable and affordable air connectivity services with world-class civil aviation infrastructure. Under Prime Minister Modi, there have been 4 ministers of civil aviation: Ashok Gajapati Raju, Suresh Prabhu, Hardeep Singh Puri and Jyotiraditya Scindia. They all have worked on a mission. The mission of the Indian Civil Aviation Ministry is to create world-class civil aviation infrastructure facilities, to establish effective regulatory framework including for safety, in harmony with international standards, to connect presently unserved areas of the country, to develop skilled human resource according to the needs of the sector, to deploy advanced technologies for the optimal growth of the sector, to ensure maximum satisfaction of users, optimize consumer satisfaction. The government has set in motion a plan to transform Indian airports into aviation hubs, beginning with the Delhi airport to ensure seamless connectivity and minimize connection time between flights. In 2018, the Modi government set a goal to have 855 million air travelers by 2030-31. At the same time, it said that it would double the civil aviation infrastructure in the country by 2025 by building 220 airports. Back in 2014, around 67 million domestic passengers had taken to the skies. By 2022, that figure had nearly doubled to 123.2 million domestic passengers, despite being hit by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and part of 2021. The number of airports in India has gone up from 74 in 2014 to 148 now, with the government aiming to increase this number to 220 by 2024-25. DG Yatra, which proclaims your face is your boarding pass, is another important technological leap for seamless processing of passengers. Launched towards the end of 2022, DG Yatra faced few issues related to privacy, but the Civil Aviation Minister allays such fears.
You will download a app on your phone called Digi app and Digi Locker. Based on that, you will then raise and put in place your Aadhaar details onto that app. You will then take a recent photograph of yours, which will be then matched with your Aadhaar details, and that's it. 24 hours before you travel, you will upload that information on a blockchain system with the airport, only the airport that you're traveling with. When you reach the airport server will have your information residing in it immediately. When your photograph is taken, that photograph at that entry point will then be matched with this information, and the doors will immediately open and you'll pass seamlessly through till you board. Once you have boarded and once you have completed your journey, within a period of 24 hours, all the information that you have uploaded only onto that airport will be completely purged.
The Modi government also launched India's first regional connectivity scheme, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik or UDAN, in 2016 with the aim to make air travel affordable and augment economic development.
बहुत पहले हमारी सोच ये बनी थी कि हवाई यात्रा ने ये राजा महाराजाओं का ही विषय है और इसलिए हमारी एयरलाइंस के साथ जो लोगो जुड़ा था वो भी महाराजा का जुड़ा था। एविएशन को मैं किस रूप में देखता हूं? हमारे देश में गरीब व्यक्ति की एक पहचान है, वो हवाई चप्पल पहनता है। और मैंने उस मीटिंग में कहा था कि मैं चाहता हूं कि हवाई जहाज में हवाई चप्पल वाले लोग दिखाई दें।
Since the launch of the scheme, more than 114 million passengers have travelled in more than 216,000 UDAN flights, with the government providing rupees 2,300 crore as a part of the viability gap funding. As of November 2022, 453 routes were operational, with 70 airports including 2 water landing sites for seaplanes and 9 heliports. The UDAN scheme was created to target India's unserved, underserved and mostly underdeveloped regional airports with regularly scheduled flights. After nearly 7 years and more so due to the intervening COVID pandemic, the UDAN scheme needs a reassessment. Air traffic on UDAN routes decreased by more than 20% in December 2022, primarily due to the COVID pandemic. The next phase of UDAN will focus on improving last-mile connectivity in remote areas, promoting the operations of small aircrafts. Two lakh 54,817 metric tons of perishables were transported pan-India in FY 2021-22. Perishables tonnage pan-India, including joint venture airports, till November 2022 was 1,64,925 metric tons. 5 more airports were added to Krishi UDAN 2.0, taking the total airports to 58. Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid the foundation of India's first transport aircraft manufacturing facility on 30th October 2022 in Vadodara, Gujarat, for production of C-295 aircraft in India. 40 aircrafts will be manufactured in India by Tata Consortium led by Tata Advanced Systems Limited and delivered from September 2026 to August 2031. While this is a step in the right direction, India has a long way to go if it wishes to be a hub of passenger aircraft manufacturing.
Make in India, make for the globe. इस मंत्र पर आगे बढ़ता रहा भारत आज अपने सामर्थ्य को और बढ़ा रहा है। अब भारत ट्रांसपोर्ट प्लेन का भी बहुत बड़ा निर्माता बनेगा। आज भारत में इसकी शुरुआत हो रही है और मैं वो दिन देख रहा हूं जब दुनिया के बड़े पैसेंजर प्लेन्स भी भारत में ही बनेंगे और उन पर लिखा होगा मेक इन इंडिया।
The government had set its sight on completing the sale of Air India as part of its larger plan to divest stakes in public sector undertakings. In January 2022, it completed the divestment of Air India to the Tata Group. The airline, which was nationalized in 1953, returned to the fold of the Tata Group, which had started the one-time flag carrier. Air India had accrued a loss of roughly rupees 1,57,339 crore in 10 years. The Tata Group bid rupees 18,000 crore as the airline's enterprise value. India is one of the fastest growing aviation markets in the world. Boeing has projected the country will require over 2,200 new planes in the next 2 decades and also pegged annual domestic air traffic growth to nearly 7% through 2041. In February this year, Air India firmed up its order for 250 Airbus and 220 new Boeing jets worth $70 billion at list prices. In June, Indigo placed a firm order of 500 Airbus A320 family aircrafts. This is the largest ever single aircraft purchased by any airline with Airbus. With this new order, since its inception in 2006, Indigo has ordered a massive total of 1,330 aircrafts with Airbus. The aviation industry in India is also looking towards consolidation.
I think it's a very positive sign, and the very fact that you will have a aggregated carrier, if you will, that looks at the merger on the one hand between Air India and Vistara, and on the other hand between Air Asia and Air India Express, and you will have a single airline that will offer a bouquet to our customer, both on the FCC side, which is the full cost carrier, which will be Air India plus Vistara, and on the ULCC side, the ultra low cost carrier, which will be the combination of Air Asia and Air India Express. And I think that the value proposition will only be enhanced through this combination of an offering.
The government had also said that it will come out with a policy to boost drone manufacturing in India and make the country a global manufacturing hub for UAVs or unmanned aerial vehicles. 2 years ago, it passed the new Drone Rules 2021, which the industry saw as a major step in promoting the use of drones across various segments. With the introduction of the new rules, the industry said the domestic market had the potential to grow to rupees 50,000 crore or $6.8 billion in the next 5 years.
ड्रोन का क्षेत्र भारत को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने में बहुत आगे ले जाएगा। ड्रोन क्रांति की ये चिंगारी सबसे पहले हमारे किसान और हमारे ग्रामीण भाई बहनों ने पूरे देश में लगाई है, लेकिन इसकी उज्ज्वला पूरी देश में फैलनी चाहिए। हमारा विश्वास है कि अमृत महोत्सव से अमृत काल तक के सफर में हमारा भारत विश्व का ड्रोन हब 2030 तक बनकर विश्व का नेतृत्व करेगा।
Despite doubling in terms of the market size in the last 9 years, attracting the biggest aircraft original equipment manufacturers or OEMs to set up shop in India or create an infrastructure for commercial aircraft leasing has remained a challenge. The lack of manufacturing facilities in India poses a massive problem for airlines in the country, which till date suffer due to unavailability of spare parts and engine manufacturing in the country. Government has to redouble its efforts in this direction. In fact, Go First had blamed engine manufacturer Pratt & Whitney's inability to supply spare parts and engines for its Airbus aircraft for grounding its fleet in May. The two companies are currently in a legal fight. Around 70 planes of Go First, Indigo and SpiceJet were grounded across multiple airports in the country due to the unavailability of spare parts and lack of MRO infrastructure in India. The Modi government has also said that it is keen to provide an enabling ecosystem for the growth of the aircraft maintenance, repair and operations industry in the country.
ग्राउंड हैंडलिंग सर्विसेज, मेंटेनेंस, रिपेयर एंड ओवरहॉल यानी एमआरओ में भी 100% एफडीआई की अनुमति दी गई है। भारत पूरे क्षेत्र के लिए एमआरओ का हब बन सकता है। आज सभी ग्लोबल एविएशन कंपनीज भारत में मौजूद है। मैं उन्हें इन अवसरों का पूरा लाभ उठाने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं।
India still has a long way to go to reach its intended target of 220 airports by 2025. Many existing brownfield airports, including India's busiest ones, are going through a phase of renovation and expansion to modernize and factor in projected growth in traffic. A number of new greenfield airports are being built across the length and breadth of the country. India is also building its largest airport in Noida. The government is focusing on building infrastructure with the support of the private sector to make it more feasible with collaboration. Nearly $11.8 billion over a 4-year period would be spent by the Ministry of Civil Aviation on the construction of new greenfield airports and the development of existing brownfield airports. Out of this, the private sector will contribute $7.5 billion, while the Indian government will invest $4.3 billion through Airports Authority of India. From Delhi to Chennai, Mumbai to Kolkata, Indian airports are being upgraded or are being built from the scratch at a mammoth level. Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport is currently the busiest airport in India and the 9th busiest in the world. Its expansion has increased its capacity. 65 million passengers passed through IGI Airport's 3 terminals in 2022. The expansion work is largely complete. What the whole of India and indeed a big part of Asia and the world is interested in is the progress of the Noida International Airport at Jewar. Easily the biggest airport project currently in progress in India, the Noida International Airport first broke ground in 2021 and is expected to be fully completed in 2040. It is being developed by Yamuna International Airport Private Limited, a subsidiary of Zurich Airport International AG. Also known as Jewar International Airport, the huge project will include an initial 2 runways to cover 12 million passengers a year by 2024, before slowly expanding over the next 2 decades to become a 6-runway airport capable of handling 60 to 120 million passengers a year, making it India's and Asia's largest airport and the 4th largest in the world. It is hoped that the airport will improve the connectivity between Noida, Western Uttar Pradesh, Delhi and the National Capital Region by easing the high traffic load on the Indira Gandhi International Airport in Delhi. Noida International also has plans to become the country's first net zero airport. A distinct mark of progress in the sphere of civil aviation is the number of female pilots in the country. India has the highest number of female pilots in the world. Women comprise 12.4% of the pilots in India's major airlines. No other country has ever crossed the mark of 10%. India has more than 1,200 female pilots.
देश में आगे बढ़ाने के लिए एक अतिरिक्त शक्ति का सामर्थ्य भारत को आगे ले जाने वाला है और वो है विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट। आज भारत गर्व से कह सकता है कि दुनिया में नागरिक उड्डयन में अगर किसी एक देश में सबसे ज्यादा विमेन पायलट हैं तो मेरे देश में है।
India is already the 3rd largest domestic aviation market in the world and is expected to overtake the UK to become the 3rd largest air passenger market by 2024. Indian aviation also contributed 5% of the GDP, creating a total of 4 million jobs. Let us here also not forget how the over 7 million other tourism sector jobs are closely linked to the health of the civil aviation sector. By one estimate, there is $72 billion gross value added contribution to GDP by the aviation industry. There are multiple advantages of the aviation sector that needs to be highlighted. The aviation sector offers global connection, which is crucial for advancing international trade and business. Further, it greatly influences how a nation's economy is shaped by linking it to other nations and continents. It also plays a crucial role in promoting tourism by offering a robust transportation network. The promotion of tourism industry also helps the economy and employment sector both domestically and globally. The aviation sector has played an important role in natural catastrophes or even at the time of conflicts. No Indian will ever forget the courage displayed by Indian airlines and pilots in bringing students and other countrymen home from war-torn and pandemic-hit countries in the last few years.
आपके अथक प्रयासों का ही परिणाम है कि यूक्रेन से करीब करीब 23,000 भारतीय नागरिक सुरक्षित स्वदेश लौट आए। जब दो देशों की सेनाएं एक दूसरे के सामने हो, हथियार और धमाकों से घिरी हुई परिस्थिति हो, तब इतना बड़ा इवैक्यूएशन ऑपरेशन चलाना बहुत ही चुनौतीपूर्ण था। इनमें विदेश विभाग, रक्षा मंत्रालय, भारतीय वायुसेना से लेकर निजी एयरलाइंस, ग्राउंड पर एम्बेसी के अधिकारी से लेकर आप जैसे सभी वॉलेंटियर्स, सभी ने सक्रिय रूप से प्रोएक्टिवली अपना योगदान दिया।
India's airport capacity is expected to handle 1 billion trips annually by 2023. In 2013-14, there were 400 aircrafts in the nation, and currently there are well over 700 aircrafts with more than 100 planes expected to join each year. The Ministry of Civil Aviation stated that it is likely to employ 1 lakh more people by 2024, which shows an increase in direct employment from 2.5 lakhs to 3.5 lakhs. Current trends predict a more than 250% growth in India's aviation sector over the next 20 years. With better connectivity, the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities and towns are to provide the real push. Growth in India's middle class and the rise in GDP per capita will be crucial to these projections. The industry, though, still seems to be in its take-off phase. To realize its full potential, challenges would need to be dealt with and obstacles overcome. That is all we have in our program. Keep watching Sansad TV. Goodbye.